Hello everyone, thanks for joining me. I just thought I would do a quick video on how to make a DIY mask from fabric that you probably have laying around the house. Because as you know, there's a shortage of masks out there, and we should be using the reusable masks so that we can let the healthcare providers use the single-use ones, because they're the ones that are at the most risk. So I thought this would be a good example, and if you sew, you can make these and give them to friends or ship them out, whatever you need to do. So ingredients for making this mask is a nice cotton knit, soft, maybe a bamboo, 2 layers of cotton fabric. And here I have a couple of zombie prints from my stash, some bias trim for finishing off the edges, and 1/4 inch elastic to go around the ears. So I'll just give you a look here. So my mannequin, she doesn't have any ears obviously, so I'm just pinning her elastic, but this is how it looks. So maybe I will show you the back as well. I'll take it off here. So you can see. It's just basically a square of fabric, and I put knit on the inside because supposedly knit is better for not letting tiny particles through as cotton. So that's why I put knit on the back. Plus it's soft and it'll feel nice. And then these just loop around your ears. Okay, let's get started. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is cut some squares of 6.5 inch by 9 inch. And I've got a fun zombie print here. I believe the print is by Riley Blake. So Zombie Apocalypse by Riley Blake, in case you're interested. And since this print is going in a one-way directional, I'm going to cut the 6.5 this way and do the 9 inches in the width. So we got 6.5 here. I've already straightened this one edge, so we're good to go. My cutter is a little dull, so you have to excuse me if I have to fix some edges. There we go. So I'm just going to fold it in half again, and this should give me 4 of these guys to use for the outside. Cut off the edges again, straighten it up, and we're going to do 5 over, so right here is 9. Okay, so there we go. There's our cotton bit. Next one is the knit. I'll try and line it up a bit here. This is just a scrap that I had left over from some tops. All of this is just out of my stash, what I have around the house. Of course, I have zombie fabric just laying around. But I would recommend using just natural fibers, cottons, and that, because I think the synthetics would just get way too hot, and I don't think they would breathe very well. So I wouldn't make this out of like a polar fleece or anything like that. 5, 6.5 is right here. Okay, let's see if this is wide enough to get 9. Not quite. Okay, so we'll just do it this way. This will give me 2 at least. Probably could have got 3 if I was smart. All right. And I'm just going to put a different cotton in the middle because I don't want to waste all my zombie fabric doing the inside. So I'm just going to cut some squares of this purple cotton and use that up in the middle. It won't be seen. You could use it as binding as well. If you don't have any binding sitting around, you can make your own binding by cutting it on the bias, which would be easy. All right, so that's 9 there. I'm just going to cut it with 9 across this way because it doesn't really matter which way the grain's going on this one. And I probably can get 3 out of this. Let's try anyways. 6.5. Oh yeah, it's close, but it's going to do it. So there's my half. And there's the 6. All right. So there's my 3 fabrics. So the first thing I'm going to do to put it into construction is I'm going to put the 2 cottons together. And I'm going to pleat them. Just pleat them down. It would be nice if I had my pin cushion. So, you see that? I'm going to pleat it down. I just kind of wing it. It's not that fiddly. And I'm going to try and get 3 pleats in this. And, you know, if it's not that even, I don't really care. Okay, so there's 3 on that side. And I try to do the top a little wider. If you can see that, I've done the top a little wider right here, because I'm going to put the bias right on the top of that. So, and we'll do the same on the other side. You'll have to excuse my nails. My nail salon is closed for until further notice. So I just got tired of my nails that were looking rather shabby, and I chopped them all off. So I'll have to start fresh when I go back again. All right, so there is 3 and 3. And as you can see that makes, you can pull it open like that, but then this will be fitted around the sides of your face. So let's stitch this together. And then we're gonna put on the lining. All right, I'll meet you at the sewing machine. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is sew these sides, and I'm just going to use a little 1/4 inch seam, and I'm basically just basting them together. hate not having nails. I can't pull my pins out now. And normally I have very strong nails, but because they file them down to put big ones on, they're very weak right now. All right, so trim that up. There we go. So right side to right side, because we're going to flip this. And I want to include elastic on this as well. So I'm going to cut my elastic 8 inches long, 2 pieces. And I kind of did some playing around and figured out that 8 inches was a comfortable length to have around your ears. So I'm just going to grab my elastic. There we go. And this is why I have the measuring thing here on my machine. It's really handy. So I can just chop 8 inches. And 8 inches again. There we go. And I'm going to sandwich this elastic in between the right side and this knit. So I'm just going to pin it in there. I'm leaving 1/4 of an inch open. So I'm pinning it 1/4 of an inch away. You can see that, 1/4 of an inch away from the edge. Okay. And then I'm going to put my knit on. And, you know, again, you don't have to be that precise with these folds. I do want them pointing down though, so they're going to go like that. I just need to line up the edges. That is the most important thing, is to line up the edges. All right. And then I am going to stitch again. This time I'm going to go about 3/8 of an inch away, so I cover that other stitch line. And we're going through quite a few layers here, so my machine's not going to get happy for a while. But it's working. All right. There we go. Trim. And I am going to also trim away this seam allowance. So I'm just using my cheap dollar store scissors here, which don't work all that great, but use what I have in the moment. Okay, and then I'm going to turn it to the other side. And there is my right side. So I'm just going to do a little 1/8 inch top stitch, just because it's nice and neat. It holds it all in place. Machine is screaming at me because it doesn't like all these layers, but you can do it. There it goes. Okay, so there is one side done, and then we are going to flip it and do the other side. So there is the finished one side, and I'll meet you back after I do the second side. And then we'll do bias. Alrighty, so I'm back. I've sewed both sides. I have top stitched, and now we are ready for bias. So I cut the bias 9 inches long. This is a quilt binding size, which is just what I happen to have on hand. I would recommend using a larger one, like a 1/4 inch would probably be too fiddly for this sort of thing. So maybe a 5/8 inch to 1 inch binding would probably work great. So I'm just going to place it on here. Now I'm keeping the 1/4 inch out, and I'm just placing my binding actually this way. So it wraps around the edges like that and gives me a slightly longer bit of cotton coming up too. And when you sew on binding, you want to make sure when you fold it, there is a small side and a large side. So you want your large side to the back so that the stitching is sitting on the bias. So I'm going to start down here at the end, the edge, so I can close up my end. And I'm just doing a little 1/8 inch top stitch. And I'm going to line this up with the 1/4 inch all the way down. I have all my layers sandwiched in that cotton. There we go. Get to the end, pivot, and then do a little back stitch. Okay, there's one side. And now we'll do the other side. Same thing, you want to just lay out that 1/4 inch that you had left over from putting the elastic in. Just to give yourself a little bit of seam allowance there. And I start on the edge, again with 1/8 of an inch top stitching. Do a little back stitch. There we go. Turn. Lay it all out again. Make sure all your layers are inside that bias. Sometimes it takes a little fiddling. Okay. And I kind of like this wide bias because it gives a little bit more coverage on the mask. And then turn it, pivot. It's stuck on the, there we go. And back stitch. And there we go. One mask done. So, very simple. If you know how to sew, these are simple to make, and you can make them out of scraps and help out your community if anybody needs them. Supposedly these are not great for healthcare workers. And the reason is that the healthcare workers need to be able to throw them away and use the disposable ones. This is fine for us going out into the grocery store or whatever, but not for the healthcare people. Maybe somebody working in retail as well. This would be great because you don't want to keep using disposable ones. Now, supposedly you have to disinfect them every time that you wear it outside of the house. So probably freezing it or using heat would disinfect them. If you're going to boil them, I probably wouldn't with this elastic. In that case, you want to probably use the ties, like extend this bias and make ties instead of elastic, because if you boil the elastic, it would just break down really fast. But that is it, all done. So hopefully you can make some masks and make people happy, and that is about it. Thanks for joining me, and hope that you all are doing well during this coronavirus, and make sure to reach out to friends and don't feel like you're alone. Thanks, everyone. Bye now.